Welcome back to Enthador, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Dwarf Fortress version 0.43, and we are the town of Foresthome. And as you can see here, I've got the entire town shown on the screen, zoomed out. The reason why is because I was asked to kind of show a progression of the town in the form of screenshots. And I think that is a great idea, but unfortunately I have not done that in previous episodes. So all of the growth that Foresthome has seen up to this point will not be cataloged, but moving forward it will. And as you can see, a lot has changed. First off, we have built a dormitory here for our dwarves to sleep in. I'm eventually going to get rid of the dormitories here and make this the big dormitory for everyone. This area has the walls been removed. Here's our pasture for our sheep. And also we have, up here we have dogs and our grizzly bears and tigers. We have a male and female grizzly bear, giant grizzly bear actually. So I sincerely hope that they have babies. That would be wonderful. Up here is where you'll notice the most change. We have our new trading facility here. And then here is our tavern, which I'll show you in just a little bit. And here is our new barracks. Now let's move up for a second. So here's the second floor of the dormitory. It's funny because this first floor generally has enough beds for everybody who wants to sleep to sleep. So it's kind of silly that I made this 3 stories tall, but there you have it. And, oh, I built this here. You may have noticed. This is our kitchen. So we're finally getting started with the cooking, and I'll show you who our cook is in just a moment. And then here, we're in the process of building. This will be another crafts dwarf workshop because we have all the stones here and we need to make a lot of crafts quickly. And I also want to show you in this episode my methodology for encrusting gems on our stone crafts. So I'll show you that too. I was hoping for some action to happen so that I can come back and film an episode during the action, but I've already played the game like almost a year since the last time you saw it, and I figured I needed to come back and kind of show you what was different about Foresthome. So here we have the actual living quarters of the barracks here, and all of the rooms for rent in the inn. Finally, up here we have a way for our military dwarves to connect to our fortifications. So from here they can come up to the barracks, get up on the walls, either internally in our big central area or through these doors here. It's not 100% perfectly secure, and theoretically a goblin could get up here by climbing and then come inside. But I'm believing that that would be very rare and only individual goblins will do it. So if they do that, we'll be able to take them down with our melee squads, who, by the way, are all at this point masters at what they do. What's interesting about this here is that I have 2 hatches here, just in case the goblins break through here and we lock this drawbridge and they have free run of the barracks and the tavern area. These hatches can be locked so that they cannot come up here into the main fortress. And what's unique about both of them is that they are both artifact hatches, which means they are completely indestructible. In some cases that's better than others, like an artifact door is always a good thing to have, but I don't think this really makes a big difference. Any hatch that's been locked can't be entered from below it, but regardless, it's just kind of a last-ditch security effort. And then finally, this room up here is the room of our tavern keeper, who is Gwendolyn. A new entrance to the fortress. I will show you her in just a minute, but I did the dwarf therapist selection of who would have the best social skills, and Gwendolyn rose to the top there. So that is the new improved Foresthome. And then if you'll go north a little bit, I created a road. This is actually floors, not a road, that go all the way to the edge of the map, because that means no matter how dense the trees get, and if you can see here, they're incredibly dense, there'll always be a way for wagons to come inside our fortress. So that is Foresthome, and now I'm going to try to get back to the regular zoom level without screwing things up. So good luck to me. This looks about right. Ah, there we go. This is it. So this is standard zoom. I could tell because it's the one before everything gets all loopy. So what are my future plans? Well, there's actually a lot of space on this side of the fortress. So I'm going to expand this area. I'm definitely going to expand it up north, but I'm not going to go further than the double wall here, because I guess I could have a wall here, but part of this is our defense. So I kind of want to keep this open for that purpose, you know, so our dwarves can stand here and shoot at things over here. And if I build internal sections of our city here, then this whole section of wall is not necessary. I mean, they can still shoot out here, and I suppose I could build a secondary wall out here. So there's things I could do, and maybe I will. Oh, by the way, someone mentioned that we don't have any non-one tile trees here, but this one right here looks, I mean, it's only one tile at the ground level, but it gets bigger as you get up. So yeah. So anyways, I was thinking of moving out this way, like maybe building this wall further out here, up here, and then over here. So the town will be less like a giant square, and it'll kind of be more like a backwards L. This I've found is just, it's not big enough. I mean, yes, there are 5 apple trees now, but I never see dwarves here harvesting anything, even though I think it is, yeah, it is a gathering zone. So I feel like I need more trees. So maybe as I'll enclose a whole ton of trees, and I'll find an area that has the highest concentration of fruit-bearing trees, and that I'll leave those alone, and I'll pave over everything else. As you can see, I'm starting to pave over all the ground here, one area at a time. I've built fortifications around the creek here, so this is kind of like a river walk. The way I'm looking at it is, from top view, it looks kind of like a wall, but when the dwarves are walking by, what it really looks like is like a fortification, like a crenellation. So they can actually see, if they're standing here, they could see down into the creek. So I thought that was kind of fun and beautiful for them to enjoy that, because I've paved over it in other places where it's more fortuitous to do so. I may utilize another Riverwalk type situation up here too once I've been able to do something else in this area. I do not want this to be my eventual animal pasture. I'd rather that, like I said, be over here, because this seems like a place to build more buildings. But we'll see how Foresthome develops. Who's to know? So here is our tavern, and our tavern is referred to as the Shady Forest, because that is what Foresthome is. It's located within a very shady forest. Shady as in protected from the sun, not shady as in like illicit. And Gwendolyn, as I mentioned, is our tavern keeper, and we're missing some stuff. This actually doesn't make sense. Boxes, bags, and common area. I guess the reason why is they don't consider the rooms upstairs, even though they're assigned to the tavern, they don't consider them to be common area. So I'll have to put some boxes here somewhere. I was going to put some tables, but then I decided this place is just too small. So what I did is I set it up like a bar, like an actual bar, like a line of tables with a line of chairs with the drinks and the food behind it. And then this is the dance floor and just hangout area. I figured this is kind of a low rent tavern. They don't need nice tables. I don't have room for it. And the barracks is really low rent. I mean, look at all these guys are fighting together in this little barracks. But as you can see, they're all becoming incredibly badass. So before we go further, let's profile a dwarf. Actually, let's introduce you to a lot of our new dwarves. We've had a lot of migration waves. Before I do that, though, I want to introduce you to 2 people who weren't part of a migration wave. They were actually children who grew up. So they're not going to show up on this list, and I'll show them to you real quick. That is Krumi and the Humpier Rogue. They are not part of the migration. So I have to get them out of the way first. And then we'll go to migration wave. And I want to introduce you to all of our new dwarves. Arriving in the summer of the year 162, we have Aracia, Clad, Dwarfy the Dragon, Gary the Snail, Julius Caesar, Krug Smash. Shout out to Krug Smash, who, if you've been watching my series, know is also a YouTuber who does an amazing Dwarf Fortress LP set in a haunted biome. It's got kind of a ASCII reminiscent tile set, so he doesn't use the full graphical tile set, but it's still an amazing show with amazing pacing. Whereas I kind of play things all out as I'm going, he does a lot of editing. So he'll show you like one moment, then he'll show you 5 minutes later, and so on and so forth. And it's just a really fun show to watch, and I recommend you check it out. Don't tell him I said this, but honestly, I think it's better than mine. So, moving on. We have Lorcan Fury, Randy Savage, the Macho Man, and Ricardo Wolfsbane. And then in the autumn of 162, we have Dullinwen, Egan O'Neill, Cavan Metalbasher, Nenton, Slavoj Zizek, and let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. Slavoj, so, I don't know, let me know. Valen. And then in the spring of the year 163, we have Agate Cogbeard, Cowlin Steelfist, Dodong, Dunbeer, Igla Lu, and the U should have a exclamation, well, not an accent mark, but I don't know how to do that in Dwarf Fortress. Gwendolyn, our tavern keeper, Ivan Flamebriar, Moonbeam, or Moonbeams, plural, Muzgarod, Neberitos, Nexus Lay, Pycon, Ravacom, Silgotten Parziva. I had to get rid of some vowels there to make it fit. Tantio, Redrock, and Vargas. So welcome to all of our new dwarves. For a while now, we have not been getting migration waves, and so I think there's a moment of peacefulness, and now a lot of dwarves are joining up. So let's do a dwarf profile. Now, we're up to number 268, which means that since the beginning of Foresthome, we've added 110 dwarves off our list. However, these names of people that we're adding today were originally submitted to the list almost 4 months, more than 4 months ago, July 7th, and we're already November the 14th. That's when I'm recording this right now. So I appreciate everybody being patient, and I hope some of these people who are now finally getting dwarfed are still watching the series and haven't given up on me. But we knew that it was going to be a long haul. So number 205. 205 is Hunter the Green Lion. Let's go take a look at Hunter the Green Lion. Hunter Idostelair, and his profession is Green Lion. He's currently listening to poetry. That's one thing. When you build the tavern, everybody starts goofing off. Like nobody's committed to the job anymore. They're just screwing around. Yeah, screwing around. Okay, let's see. Hunter is a woman, and, well, I don't know. That's not a guarantee. Hunter probably is a woman because they have children. And Hunter is married to Kusaha, who is her husband, and eldest daughter Vabok and second eldest daughter Minkot are not either in Sandpillar or Foresthome, but third eldest daughter Mistamage and only son Kingtip. So Kingtip is in Sandpillar, and Mistamage is here with us in Foresthome. And Mistamage is a legendary warrior, or at least an expert warrior, as you can tell by the blinking. Okay. Other than that, no grandparents in the fortresses. Eilard, I can see down here, is a cousin. Then we have Bravod the Wise, Ricardo Wolfsbane, Rakust, who must be one of our mercenary dwarves. I don't know. We don't actually have technically any mercenaries, but we might have some pike dwarves or whatnot visiting the fortress. And then Potatosaurus, they're all cousins. And Jasso and Mahak, also cousins. Worships two deities, Zephon, Volalatham, and Thul. Friends with Xantor and Zora the Great, on friendly terms with a number of other people. And that's it, no enemies, so that's good to know. There's nothing like a good friend, says Hunter, the Green Lion. Within the last season, however, she was uneasy after being unable to pray to Thul. Don't worry, Hunter, we are going to take care of that. The temple is next, now that we finally have all of our security and whatnot set up. She was bored after doing nothing creative. She was bored after not learning anything. Well, yes, being unassigned isn't exactly the most exciting job in the world, but it's a necessary one. Let's see, she did, however, feel euphoric due to inebriation, and blissful dining in a legendary dining room. And this is my boring little dining room. The legendary one is still on the way. She was, however, bitter after getting into an argument, but delighted after watching a performance, and she's found pleasure near a fine door. Let's see. She is 54 years old, born in the 24th of Malachite in the year 109. She has a very round chin. She has a very high-pitched voice. Her eyebrows are extremely dense. Her dark peach skin is slightly wrinkled. Her head is somewhat tall. Her hair is mahogany. Her medium-length hair is neatly combed, and her eyes are emerald. Oh, beautiful eyes. But how can someone's head be tall? Like, I've heard the word long to describe a head, but never tall. Anyway, she is strong but remarkably flimsy. She likes serpentine, lay pewter, amethyst, alderwood, giant capybara tooth, grates, crowns, cows for their haunting moos, giant dingoes for their coloration. Oh, she's going to love it here. We have giant dingoes all over the place. The words of the sable truth, and the sight of the umber velvet. When possible, she prefers to consume flounder and parsnip wine. She absolutely detests purring maggots. All right, and that is Hunter, the Green Lion. And Hunter has no health problems. Good to know. All right, so what can we talk about next? Well, first off, I would like to talk about my craft production. So as you can see here, we now have 2 jewelers' workshops. In this workshop over here, we have our gem cutter, who is Callan Orkinshield. Now, here in the second floor of his home/workshop, we have a gem stockpile for rough, that is uncut gems. Next, we have our gem encrusting workshop, and the second floor of that has all of our cut gems. And then that belongs to Dodong, who is our gem setter. And I've also created a little door that goes from here to the main storage area, just in case he needs it. I don't actually know why I did that, but it's nice, whatever. And so here's how this works, and I've got it all set up super nicely. So what used to be our barracks down here, this is a storage area for finished goods, but not all finished goods, just finished goods that we can make with our crafts dwarf. So if you see here, that means toys, figurines, amulets, scepters, crowns, rings, earrings, bracelets, large gems, totems, and that's all. All the clothes, because normally they consider crappy clothes that's falling apart to be finished goods, we're putting that somewhere else. This is just stuff that our stonemason and potentially our metal crafters can make. And obviously nothing useful, like goblets, musical instruments, flasks, and chains, which also can be made at those workshops and also can be sold, but really we want those to stay in-house for our dwarves to enjoy. So that goes here. But as you can see here, this workshop, or this stockpile takes from anywhere, but can only give to the jeweler's workshop. So then we come down here to this jeweler's workshop, and you'll notice that up here, this area of cut gems can also only be given to this jeweler's workshop. So this jeweler picks up a cut gem from upstairs, picks up a unencrusted craft from this area up here, and you might be saying, well, Marcus, that's a long walk for the jeweler to have to take for every encrusting. And you're right. That's true. Nothing I can do about that, though. That's the realities of living in an above-ground fortress. I guess I could have put trade goods like in here or something. I might try that. Maybe I'll move that like to here, but either way, that's just how it is right now. So then when that's done, however, when the trade good has been encrusted, it goes upstairs here, which can only take from the jeweler's workshop and can't take from anywhere else. And this is a stockpile otherwise that is completely the same. It stores the exact same things, but it only gets them from the jeweler's workshop, which means they have to have been encrusted. So theoretically, we should have enough goods here to trade with, but of course we don't. We just traded everything away to the human merchants, so we have nothing, which is why I'm building a secondary crafts dwarf's workshop to get more crafts. Because in a pinch, I will also trade crafts that have not been encrusted. And then finally, up here, I think this is just an area for all the other crap. Like, still finished goods, but the stuff that isn't included, yeah, the armor, footwear, headwear, handwear, all the crappy clothes that people lose, although it looks like they haven't actually been bringing it here. so I don't know where exactly they're putting it. Maybe I have a finished goods stockpile here somewhere. I'm not sure. But I know we have plenty of crappy clothes floating around. So that might be a fun little thing to do, is find out where it's all going. But so I've been working on this, and it is working. It is successful. We add a task. Let's say we want to encrust citrine on a finished good. We click, I can now click repeat. They might overly encrust the same object, but I don't care. I'm trading it anyway. So one object is worth 1,000 versus 10 objects that are worth 100. 12 of one, half dozen, or full dozen of the other. How many dozen is 12? So, yeah. So what that means is now we're ready to start working on our temple. And I've got plans for our temple. I walled over this lake, or floored over it, but I might actually change that, because let me kind of explain to you what I want to see with this temple. I was thinking of just hiding it and showing it to you when it was done, but considering I'm really nervous about this and not sure how to do it or how I'm going to pull it off, I'll just kind of discuss it with you. So the first floor of the temple is going to be maintenance access only. It's not going to be a place where dwarves hang out. And we're going to have 2 water wheels here on the creek. We're going to have to channel out this area, and they are going to generate power. And that power is going to go to a pump stack that exists here. We're going to maybe slide some water over to it. And what that pump stack is going to do is it's going to pump water to the top of the pyramid, which I haven't decided yet how many floors it's going to be, but it's going to be a lot. And what's going to happen then is the water is going to come down the 4 sides of the pyramid, and then it's going to fall in to a trap that I have that will allow it to then come back into the creek. And it's going to be a continual thing. And so I'm going to have to work this out in such a way that it's physically beautiful. You see the water kind of cascading down the outside of the temple, but then when it falls inside, I want it to also generate mist in the dining hall, which will make our dwarves really happy. And I've never had a mist generator before, and I have to do it right, because if you get the floor wet, it'll get muddy, and I don't want to see muddy floors. So there's ways you can do it. Like there's ways you can put fortifications around the hole, or a grating that goes down so you still get the mist, but maybe you don't get any splashed water. I'm going to try to work on that. But so that would imply then that the next floor up after this, the second biggest floor, will be the dining hall. Above that will be the temples to the various gods. That might be 2 floors even. And then finally, above that will be the living quarters and throne room and dining hall for our eventual noble. We have been asked already to choose a noble, and I have deferred because I do not wish to select a noble until I have this temple complete. So that's going to be our next big project. Oh, and probably I'll have a floor also that's devoted like our Hall of History, where instead of engraving a pillar for each year, we're going to create a statue. And I'm not sure how to do that yet, because I haven't actually been creating the statues throughout the game, and we've been here for a number of years. But I guess I'll look at the Legends viewer and just try to select content for the statue that is appropriate to the year in which it represents. So the first year will be, for example, the founding of Foresthome. The second year will be, someone who died or something that happened. The third year will be an attack by goblins or a werebeast attack, so on, so forth. And that'll be a room filled with statues. Oh, and there'll also be a floor devoted to our artifacts. So we're going to have an artifact floor. So there's going to be many, many floors. The statue floor and the artifact floor might be the same floor, because as we get up higher and the floors get smaller, that's when I'm going to do the noble. I'm not going to have like the noble in the middle and then the artifacts on the top, because I kind of want to make it seem like the noble lives in an area separate from other dwarves and they can't go up and actually spend time with them, to create an artificial sense of majesty. So that's where we're at, basically. I'm going to try to continue to expand this, as I mentioned, although I've been waiting for a goblin attack because they're due any time now, and the last thing I want is 50 dwarves out here building a wall when they attack and then they all get killed. That would be unhappy. No one has asked me yet to become a mercenary, but if they do, I'm going to be happy to accept them. And that's that. I'm building more bolts, and I'm also purchasing bolts. I've created a secondary bolt stockpile here, which is supposed to not accept bins, but it looks like it's not doing me any good because it looks like all the bolts are going here first. Now, I've been told that there's some stockpile issues where once a bolt is in a bin, it's there for good. Like a dwarf might take it out to load up their quiver, but they're not going to take a stack of bolts out from the bin and then put it dry on the floor here. So that might be an issue. But, you know, just to try it out and see if it'll be fun. Let's say we'll take from anywhere, but let's also say take from a pile workshop, and let's take from here. And that way, theoretically, they should grab the bolts and put them here. We'll just see if it works. If it doesn't work, at least I'll put new bolts here before they're in bins, and that should be fine. All right. Oh, I want to talk about our kitchen, and I will do so. So now we have a kitchen, and the reason why we have a kitchen now is because we had a legendary cook come to the fortress, and that is Zarya. So I think Zarya was from Sandpillar, but I'm not entirely sure. But either way, Zarya is a legendary cook, so we now have a kitchen. And does that kitchen have a door? It does. Okay, good. Oh, one other change that I made is we did some changes of the doctors. So Zazakita used to be a doctor, but we have fired Zazakita from doctoring and replaced Zazakita with Tantio Redrock. And that is because if you look here at profession, you'll notice that Tantio is amazing. 9 in diagnosis. So Tantio is by far our best diagnoser, better than our 0 here for our chief medical dwarf. Tantio is also our best surgeon by far. Not so good at setting bone, but at least is skilled in it. Tantio is our second best suturer and wound dresser after Calum, who is our best one on that. So basically, Tantio is our absolute best diagnosis guy, and that's important because diagnosis is the most important facet of dwarven healthcare. So welcome to the team. In fact, I'm going to turn Justinian off of diagnosis. Justinian's our chief medical dwarf, but is mostly now a administrator because all these other guys combined are better than him in every single area. But, you know, hospitals need administrators, so there you go. Oh, crap. And commit. You can't see this, it's off the screen, but I clicked clear instead of commit. Alright, well that's Foresthome. That's as we're living right now. Looks like I have a tree here to cut down that is impertinently growing inside of our temple area. But other than that, things are looking good. So I'll come back with the next invasion or assault or something. And then once that's done, we can think about expanding the walls. I have enough dwarven labor now that I could probably do it pretty fast. In fact, I could probably do it kind of smart. And what I mean by that is I could create like a quick wall that just goes like this, and then build a drawbridge that can open and close, and then tear down the wall. So that way there was a secondary entrance that we can close up tight in case we get attacked or whatever. So we can build the wall safely without having to walk all the way up and out here. Because if the dwarves are out here and the only way they can get back is through this and we're attacked, well, it's goodbye to those dwarves, and I don't want to see that. I love the little bastards, and I don't believe in careless or meaningless death. So once again, I'm Marcus Aurelius. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.